back tonight.
6,246 is the days between Misha's death and today.
Saskatchewan RCMP charge a 34-year-old man with second-degree murder in the 2006 death of Misha Pavelick. Also, Saskatoon's shared e-scooter pilot is racking up mileage. At the same time, Regina is getting ready to launch one. Plus, 2 Saskatoon high school grads reflect on their remarkable education, including a year of elementary school in a care home.
Being in the iGen experience and seeing and hearing experiences of people of how they've been treated throughout their life, it really opened my eyes as, just like how I've been raised and how I've been treated. It's so different from how other people have been treated.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, June 27th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for watching. A 17-year search for answers may be over. Saskatchewan RCMP have announced they have laid charges in the cold case death of Regina teen Misha Pavelick. And because the suspect was just 17 at the time, he's not being named. Alexander Kwan has our top story tonight.
6,246 is the days between Misha's death and today.
For the family of Misha Pavelick, Tuesday marks an end and a beginning. This after RCMP confirmed a man allegedly responsible for the death of the 19-year-old has been charged. In 2006, Misha was attending a party near Regina Beach, located about 45 kilometers northwest of Regina. The May-long weekend was supposed to be a good time. Instead, it turned tragic after Misha was fatally stabbed. In the 17 years since, there have been many questions about the incident. Misha's family, including his father, Lauren Pavelick, has never stopped looking for answers. Now, his father has some. But he will also have to endure what's likely to be a long court process.
We, the family, we realize this is not the end, just the beginning of the end. And it renews our hope for justice for our dear Misha.
RCMP did not reveal many details about the investigation, saying that it will come out during the court process. What we do know is that a 34-year-old man was arrested on Saturday and charged with second-degree murder. Because he was 17 at the time of the homicide, his name cannot be released. For RCMP investigators, this was a long time coming.
There certainly is ebbs and flows to the investigation. There's times when it looks bleak and members are frustrated, and we rely on their determination and their perseverance to get through to where we are today.
Even though someone has now been charged, police are still asking anyone to come forward if they have information or if they were at the party the night of Misha's death. The suspect is set to make an appearance in court next month. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
It was less than a month ago that a 33-year-old Saskatoon cyclist was fatally struck at a busy intersection. 10 years ago, that intersection was being considered to be included in a city bike path. But as Dane Patterson reports, that never happened.
Natasha Fox was riding her bike at the intersection of College Drive and Wiggins Avenue on May 24th when she was struck by a cement truck. Her death reignited what advocates call a frantic push for bike lines and bike safety. The university recognized a now long-standing issue at the intersection in 2013. The city even considered a bike corridor down Wiggins Avenue in 2014 for better safety. But that never happened. Instead, a trial bike lane was created downtown. Advocates are now pushing harder for better bike safety.
The cycling community, as you can well imagine, has been horrified and outraged and furious and a little bit, we're not going to take it anymore.
Holtzlander says a large issue now is the culture of cars first, cars only. But he's also calling for better infrastructure in the city, whereas right now it can be spotty.
I mean, here we have sort of our one kind of separated bike lane here on 23rd. And behind me you can see that it ends, but it doesn't end. It just has a break of 2 blocks in it before it picks up further on.
Holtzlander also says locations like Wiggins Avenue can be immediately improved with paint and changes to the traffic lights. He and other advocates say protected bike lanes are ideal because they separate cyclists from vehicles.
It also clears up confusion between cyclists and people who are driving. And that's sort of one of the key challenges, especially at intersections, is, what am I supposed to be doing right now? And when it's unclear, that's where it gets more dangerous.
Fuller says the bike network has to be citywide to work. A pedestrian and cyclist pathway is in motion for the north side of College Drive as part of a city plan.
A mother, a teacher lost her life and at that intersection, and I do want to make sure that we learn from that and take action as a result.
The mayor says residents need to recognize that safer cycling is good for everyone. Wednesday, he and other councillors will discuss a third-party safety audit of the intersection at Wiggins and College, as brought forward by Ward 6 councillor Cynthia Block. Residents will also be able to weigh in on that motion. Dane Patterson, CBC News, Saskatoon.
After years of talks, we now know where a new joint-use elementary school in Northeast Regina will be. It will be built at the site here, at the current Imperial Community School, between Hamilton Street and Broad Street North. The facility will fit up to 800 students to start, with space to expand to 1,000. A 51-space childcare center and community space equipped with a kitchen will also be included in the facility. This facility will serve as a hub for various activities, events, and programs fostering collaboration, inclusivity, and lifelong learning. Moreover, it will serve as a catalyst for community engagement and will strengthen the bonds between families, schools, and the wider community.
I think what's going to be built here will be quite spectacular for the community and accessible, and make it for children on their summer break a place that's joyous, not just during the school year with a state-of-the-art educational facility, but with accessible and enhanced recreational facilities.
The new building will consolidate and replace St. Peter and St. Michael, as well as Imperial and McDermott schools. Construction will begin this fall with plans to open it for the 2025-26 school year. It's the last day of classes for many students across Saskatchewan, and for some grade 12s, it's been quite an education. They had an elementary school and care home and a high school in a pandemic. Bonnie Allen has more.
Oh, she's here. Okay, come on in.
Grade 12 students Ava Schick and Asia Din have come back to the Saskatoon care home where they went to school 6 years ago.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Oh, pretty good.
We first met them back in 2017. That's Schick pushing a resident in a wheelchair, and that's Din at the piano. They were part of one of the first grade 6 classes to embed inside Sherbrooke Community Centre for an entire year as part of an intergenerational classroom known as iGen. We invited them to sit down together to talk about how elementary school in a care home and high school during the pandemic shaped them.
Just really made me more resilient and resourceful as well.
Din says her time in the care home made her more willing to be vulnerable and to ask for help. And Schick says it made her more considerate in the pandemic.
I think it really opened my eyes. You heard and saw a lot of people being like, this doesn't really matter, it's not that big of a deal, but I think spending a year just hands-on with people who have vulnerable immune systems and who have varying abilities and who, it's not just a cold to them, it made me so much more aware of how I held myself and how I, showed myself to the world.
Both say their unique education guided their future plans. Din wants to be a doctor. She's been accepted into a direct entry medical school in Ireland starting in September.
I feel like just being around so many vulnerable individuals with many varying disabilities allowed me to find interest in medicine and find the cause and also find the cure for many different diseases that are still uncurable or just stuff we don't know about and we still need research for.
And I think that really
Schick plans to become a human rights lawyer.
Just focusing on how justice affects different types of people and being in the iGen experience and seeing and hearing experiences of people of how they've been treated throughout their life. It really opened my eyes as just how I've been raised and how I've been treated. It's so different from how other people have been treated, and I really want to help people.
They have bright futures and don't take it for granted.
It just taught me to be more loving and to show more passion towards other people, just show them how much I care about them, because life is really short and you don't know what can happen.
I'll be seeing you soon, okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'll see you later.
Bonnie Allen, CBC News.
Have a good day.
Saskatoon's shared e-scooter pilot is racking up mileage and fast. One of the companies involved says more than 100,000 kilometers have been logged on scooters since last month's launch. Neuron Mobility says the average trip was around 20 minutes, with River Landing, Broadway and Rotary Park the most popular start and end points. Many riders are using the scooters to get to buses and visit Midtown Mall and TCU Place, but it seems not everyone is following the rules.
We've had a few individuals that have been kicked off. I don't know what the exact number is today, but we have had a number of individuals that have been removed from the app, and we'll continue to enforce that as needed. But the majority of riders that have been here in the city are abiding by the rules. They're clearly understanding the prompts that are on the e-scooter when they're instructed to do the appropriate thing.
Ransom says Neuron tries to educate people about the rules before banning them. The company will be launching e-scooters in Regina tomorrow. 250 scooters will be gradually rolled out in different parts of the city. A live look now at the Saskatchewan Legislature in Wascana Park in Regina. It was another gorgeous summer day out there, but the mosquitoes, my goodness. According to the city's latest report, we are at record levels for the bloodthirsty bugs. Maybe Mother Nature could help us out with that? Ethan will join us from outside with your forecast after the break. Stay with us. Years ago today, the Regina District Food Bank officially opened its doors. It was supposed to be a temporary solution to a growing population that was facing food insecurity. But what was temporary is now permanent and growing. Canada's first food bank was actually here on the prairies. Edmonton was the first, incorporated in January 1981. 2.5 years later, the second one opened. That was the Regina and District Food Bank.
I was born in Regina, but I would have been the last one to say there was this much hungry in Regina, the breadbasket of Saskatchewan. But it's here, and so we got to get on with the job.
Ed Blues was hired as the first executive director of the Regina and District Food Bank. It started in the basement of Regina Rented Center, but demand was so great that within a year, the food bank moved to the corner of Albert Street and Saskatchewan Drive, the Co-op Dairy Building.
So far we're managing, but only by reducing the amount of food that we give to people. We started out originally giving 5 pounds per day per person, and we're down to 2 now.
Eventually, more donations would come, and with them, a need for more space. After 2 more moves, it finally set up a permanent home on Winnipeg Street in 2005.
It takes a community to feed a community.
It was in that warehouse that then CEO Wayne Hellquist gradually started adding services, including a library, a kitchen, a grocery store, and pre-employment programs.
The programming piece for me was crucial, recognizing that we could be more than just a place for people to pick up food.
While programs have ebbed and flowed with community needs, the demand for food has only increased. As a result, a secondary food hub will open in downtown Regina on Broad Street in 2024. And if statistics show us anything, the need will only continue to grow. A recent report shows food banks and other programs serving vulnerable Canadians are expected to serve 8.2 million people in 2023, a 60% increase. The Regina Food Bank's numbers reflect that. Back in 1983, in its first year of operation, the food bank fed 557 families, distributing 804,000 pounds of food for the whole year. Fast forward 40 years, this May alone, 5,774 families were served. Each day, the organization distributing 13,000 pounds of food, expecting to reach 4.8 million pounds for the year. And in the last 2 years, the food bank has more than doubled its output, a significant change from where it started 40 years ago.
That's a sad anniversary.
Queen's University professor Elaine Power has been studying food insecurity for 30 years. She says the only way we'll truly see the end of food banks is if governments provide people with a basic income.
It's not going to solve all problems. We're still going to have a housing affordability crisis, and there's still going to be lots of other issues that need attention. But there's pretty clear evidence that if you increase households' income, they can be food secure.
Power says another option would be to include targeting the Canada Child Benefit specifically to lower income families to help pull them into food security. But she says until food security is not an ongoing issue, food banks will not be able to fulfill the dream they had 40 years ago, to close because people didn't need them anymore.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. Used car savings is on now.
And our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now. Are you armed with bug spray?
Oh, well, you know what? We got lucky. It is just warm enough that we're not seeing any of those pesky mosquitoes out here this evening. It's a great night in Regina. We've got some light winds out here behind our broadcast center. It is warm, it is sunny. But just to the southeast of us, we do have some storm activity happening. Let's take a look at radar right now, and a few of those storms popping up, none of them severe at the moment. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect around the Kamsack-Kenora area, southward through Yorkton, down to Weyburn, Estevan. And if we take a look at a wider view of the region, we can see that we had some storms earlier this afternoon, really through south and central, but those are starting to die off now. But storms last week in Alberta are causing a bit of problems for the North Saskatchewan River. The Water Security Agency saying that the North Saskatchewan at Prince Albert is expected to peak tomorrow, and peak flows there could be 4 to 5 times higher than the average from what we see. So of course, the obvious advice is to stay away from the river. I know we're coming up to the long weekend here, but they are advising people stay away. Of course, kids and pets, you're going to want to stay away from there. And even boating. You never know how strong those currents can be or what debris has been carried in the river from the west. Of course, locations west of there, we have seen the river peaking a little bit, and north and east of there over the coming days we'll likely see that as well. And in fact, part of Little Red River Park in Prince Albert has been closed as well. We're expecting the peaks to diminish as we head into the weekend. Now, temperatures in Prince Albert today quite nice, along with the rest of south and central, into the mid-20s with a little bit of a humidity factor. We are seeing that feel close to 30 degrees, a little cooler in spots where we've seen thunderstorms roll through. It's this low pressure center that has been causing those storms, but as we go through the night tonight, skies should clear once again, rain moving out. And then as we head into tomorrow, southern Saskatchewan could see some pop-up showers here and there. Relatively non-severe, but central and northern Saskatchewan definitely beginning to see some clearing, and all of us really getting some clearing and temperatures warming up again as high pressure starts to move in on Thursday. The thunderstorm risk just isolated to the southeast corner of the province tomorrow. Strong winds, large hail, torrential rain, of course lightning, also a concern with these. This is valid tomorrow at noon. But as those storms fire up in the south, we could see some breezy conditions, especially in central Saskatchewan, around Saskatoon, winds upwards of 40 kilometers an hour at times. But as high pressure starts to move in Thursday, we'll start to see those winds diminish. Our next 7 days in Regina, temperatures starting to increase, as I say. We could be a little bit on the breezy side even in Regina tomorrow with those northwest winds. With the humidity again, especially Saturday, going to be feeling into the mid-30s, but we'll get a little bit of relief as winds and cooler temperatures start next week. For Saskatoon for the next 7 days, here we are looking at warm conditions, chance of showers over the holiday weekend as we head into Canada Day there, but then conditions once again easing off, so it looks like a really nice next week here, Sam.
All right, thanks, Ethan. Thanks, Ethan. Lego fans in Alberta have proven once again it's amazing what a toy can do. It took nearly 1 million Lego bricks to recreate several landmarks in downtown Edmonton. It started as a pandemic project. Creators call it a labor of love. They hope to inspire other builders to own their own one-of-a-kind cityscapes. We'll be back after the break. A new report out today says competition is key to keeping grocery prices in check. The Competition Bureau of Canada released the findings of its latest report into the country's retail grocery market. Katie Nicholson has more on the report and its recommendations.
Outside a major grocery store, resignation there might not be any great deals inside.
These guys have the same price as Safeway, the same price as Save on the same price. Like everybody's trying to keep in the same. Where it used to be, where somebody would have something better on sale and you'd go over there, right?
Her observations validated partly today by a new but unsurprising report from the Competition Bureau, which found Canada's grocery landscape is ruled by 5 major players who control about 80% of the market and many of the rival discount chains. Just take a look at this breakdown of 3 major domestic grocery groups. The Bureau also noted modest profit margins slowly creeping up since 2017.
If we see an industry with rising margins over time, it can certainly be a sign that there's a need for more competition in the industry. And that is one of our key findings.
The Bureau made 4 recommendations to kick up competition, like encouraging new blood to enter the market to make prices drop. Bring it on, says the Retail Council of Canada.
The Canadian grocery industry welcomes that. They've welcomed it, in the past with the entries of Costco and Walmart.
The report also urges all levels of government to develop policies to bring in new players and make it easier for Canadians to comparison shop. But anti-monopoly watchdogs have another idea.
The first step is stopping the further consolidation of markets that we know aren't delivering as much benefit as they could be. Waves of consolidation that we've allowed to happen have really reduced the diversity and dynamism of the grocery markets for Canadians, especially in rural areas.
The recommendations in the report are just that. And even if industry and governments decide to enact them, it may be some time before Canadians notice any difference in their grocery bill. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
Western premiers were meeting in Whistler today and focused on lobbying Ottawa for money to fight things like climate change. Specifically, replacing and upgrading aging infrastructure, which premiers say is at risk due to the effects of climate-related disasters. The premiers are calling on the federal government to boost infrastructure spending. Premier Scott Moe is at the meeting and also shared his thoughts. He wants the feds to provide financial support to help grow provincial and territorial economies. He says investment is needed in areas such as immigration, industries, and innovation.
We discussed that fair and equitable investment by other levels of government, namely the federal level of government. We, I think, look forward to continuing that discussion right through to the Council of Federation table.
All of Canada's premiers will meet in less than 2 weeks in Winnipeg. The annual 3-day meeting starts on July 10th.
Labor market. Well, we're starting a little bit cloudy tomorrow in Regina. We'll be at 20 degrees, winds out of the north, a little bit breezy. But as we get to the afternoon, skies starting to clear. We'll be around 25, a little bit warmer than that with a little bit of humidity. A risk of some afternoon storms, although in the Regina area, I think they'll be mostly non-severe. We'll be looking for severe storms in extreme southeastern Saskatchewan. Saskatoon, a little bit cooler than Regina, 16 degrees at 8 a.m. Your wind's going to be a little stronger out of the north, close to 30 at the 8 o'clock hour. And then as we hit the noon hour, sunny skies sticking around. Those north winds getting close to 40, but conditions will be quite nice for you tomorrow, looking for a high of 24 degrees. Our photo today comes from Denise on Pelican Lake First Nation. She snapped this gorgeous sunset shot as she drove along the highway. A picture-perfect, postcard-perfect shot of our land of living skies here, Sam.
All right, thanks, Ethan. And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Ethan will join me back in studio for more local news and weather tonight at 11. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.